Okay, we are back. Thank you so much for sticking around. My name is Jason Levine, Principal Worldwide Evangelist for Adobe, and for the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to be talking about a couple of the new features in After Effects and Premiere and Audition in this latest update. Our mantra this time around, our theme for this release is Powerful Alone, Unstoppable Together. Now, those of you who are just sitting here saw me showing motion graphics templates and the flexibility of those coming from After Effects. So those were authored in After Effects. Well, here we are in After Effects. I'm going to show you not only how to build them, but also showcase to you, using that same Essential Graphics panel, how you now have a new way to actually create in After Effects and use Essential Graphics, not just for making templates, but as a way to not only create master comps, but to quickly access, edit, and animate things in this central panel without having to sift through and sort through hundreds of layers like we often do. So once again, here we are, and we've got this little master credit sequence here. And up in Essential Graphics, you'll see that now we have this thing called master. So what this means is that any comp that you're working on can become a master comp. And if you click on the down arrow here, you can now see we've got access to all of the various comps that live inside of our project. Up here we've got some text fields, we've got this edge wipe color. So these are all elements that are contained down here in the master comp that I might want to edit later. Now, if I want to, say, access different properties and very quickly access them and modify them, I can click on Solo Supported Properties, and now it gives me access inside of the comp to everything that I can drag into that Essential Graphics panel. Now, I mentioned before in Premiere, in this latest version of After Effects now, you can just directly drag position, scale, and rotation right into the Essential Graphics panel to make those parameters editable. In the last version, you actually had to use an expression slider to control position, scale, and rotation if you were making a template for Premiere. Now you just drag those properties directly in, which is so much nicer. So I'm going to grab position, scale. Here's our edge wipe rotation. So let's just grab a rotation thing here, drag that in as well. I'll call this EW rotation. All right. So now we have these parameters right here, which means that if I wanted to, say, change the edge wipe color, I don't have to scroll down to find where is that again so I can change it. I can just change it right up here, right, and modify that. So we're now using Essential Graphics as you're creating, just as a way to drop in those common properties, those common elements, to edit them much more quickly than before. And again, all of these could effectively become a template if we wanted them to be. But here's the other cool thing. Let's go ahead and switch to another comp. So this is a slightly more finished version of that one here. And let's go ahead and switch this to this same one called Master Title, where we have a whole bunch of properties in here. Watch the properties as I'm dragging through this. What you're actually seeing, you're seeing those sliders animate because it's giving you a visual indication of all of the keyframed motion that I did inside the Essential Graphics panel. So as you're building this up, that master comp that we built can all be edited directly from Essential Graphics without having to go down and scrub through all of these various layers. But it goes even a step further, because once you have the concept of a master comp, here's our finished title sequence, where we've got some video behind it, and again, we've got all these different fields and animations happening. Notice inside of our main comp, so this is sort of the composite of everything together, we have nested that master title comp and then another one here called master background. And notice that we've got something here called master properties. What is that? Well, all of those elements that you dragged from that master comp into Essential Graphics, when you nest that into a new composition, they will now fall under this master properties category. Again, giving you quick access to those functions. All right, well, one of the first things I want to do is edit the text here, and I didn't drag my text layers into that master comp. So let me go back to master title here. I'm going to twirl these things up. Oh, there's our text. That's the second line of text. So I'm going to grab source text here, and I'll rename this. Let's call this text 2. And let's go ahead and grab text 1. There it is. Source text. Text 1. All right? Go back to our title main. Now, you can see them down at the bottom here, but I don't want them down there. I want them at the top. Well, again, this is completely dynamic, so I can just take this and I can drag and change its position to the top here, and notice it appears at the top. All right? Take text 1, drag it up here. It appears here. All right. So now I've got this master comp living inside of this new nested composition. I want to now make a change to this, but I don't want to affect the master because I'm probably going to reuse it. Again, it's kind of this template idea. So I want to change the text. Right-click, Control-click, Edit Value, and I'm going to say the seam between. That's the name of the film we're working on here. Click OK on that. Text 2, Edit Value, the seam between. All right? And we've now modified that text via master properties. But notice it's not changed here, because this is the master comp. This is your sort of master editable, reusable template. You can just keep nesting this in additional compositions. This master doesn't change. You can change it. You can change it. If you look down below, you'll see that we have these new buttons here. Pull from master comp, push to master comp. So as you make changes inside of master properties, I might say, oh, you know what? I want to pull the original back in. I want it to say Title 1. So you can do that. Or I can say, no, in fact, let's push these changes to the master comp. I want them to always say the seam between, which would be odd, but why not? So let's go ahead and push those changes. Push, push. There it is. All right? So this is an incredibly flexible workflow. And by the way, we want to make some additional changes here. So here, let's go down to our background video. This is showing you the additional one. We have different video options here. Let's go ahead and change that. Okay? And let's say that I want to actually have another instance of that same template appearing, say, around 2 seconds in our timeline here. So I can take that same master title, and I can drag in another instance of this. And let's start it right about here. Okay? So we see the seam between, and then it appears again. But this one, I don't want the text to say the seam between. I want it to say, this is like the episode title. So this will be Day 1. All right? Click OK on that. Do the same thing here. Edit Value. Day 1. And then maybe I also want to change, hold on while I scroll this up. Maybe I also want to change the color, make this a little bit more green. So you see I'm changing the color dynamically on screen, right? All right, like that. Twirl this up, wind back. Okay, the seam between, scroll through. Now we see the second instance, Day 1, all right. Keep scrolling through. You get the idea. We didn't change the master template color, just that instance. All accessed very quickly via master properties. And again, now if I want to take this and create a template that I can share with someone via CC libraries, I can export my motion graphics template, place it in a CC library. My Premiere editor is waiting for me. They can access that instantly and begin using this. And all of the fields that you see here, the text fields, seam position, angle, master scale, position, rotation, pinstripe, fall off, all of these things, they'll be able to edit directly. Super cool, super flexible. All right, so let's bounce over now to Premiere Pro very quickly and talk about some of our new color workflows leveraging our Powered by Adobe Sensei machine learning technology. So we've done a couple of new things inside the program monitor as well to allow you to compare different views and looks against clips or even against motion graphics templates. And I'm going to show you those two things right now. So here we have a shot from the seam between, and this is the ungraded Sony FS7 content. And I want to sort of do a pre-grade on this and be able to see a before and after in real time. Here in the program monitor, in the latest version, you will now have a comparison view button. And when you enable comparison view, you have two options. You have shot comparison or frame comparison. Shot comparison mode is what you'll be in if you want to apply a matching grade across a duration of footage. Frame comparison is what you'll use if you simply want to look at a moment in your timeline and then quickly check and make changes to kind of see a before and after in real time. We've also got this button here to swap sides, so you can have the after on the left, before on the right, however you like it. I'm simply going to come over to my basic corrections panel here, and under our input LUT, I'm going to look for the appropriate LUT for my FS7, which is this Cinelog 3. All right, I can quickly apply that. I can warm this up, maybe drop the contrast, pump up the highlights a little bit. Maybe I'll even add a little bit of vignetting here, like this. And maybe I'll come into our creative and do a little bit of faded film as well. All right, and quickly see before and after on that same frame. Now, if I wanted to, say, disable all of those modules, I just added something from creative, I added something from basic correction, and I added vignette. Well, I could turn off all of the individual modules here. It's kind of manual, kind of a pain. If I wanted to globally turn everything off, previously I had to go into the effects controls and disable this toggle here. And everyone said, why don't you have a bypass directly in Lumetri Color? Well, now you will see in the Lumetri Color panel, we now have an effects bypass right here. So you can turn everything, all the modules off right away. And we also have a full reset of all of the modules right here as well. So just making that process a little bit more convenient. All right, so now we're going to talk about color matching. So this was sourced from, this is a 3-camera interview. We've got a mix of Red Weapon 8K, which we're actually playing natively in the timeline here. I mentioned Sony FS7, and we also have one of the flavors of Sony A7 at 4K. And they're all at different temperatures. So let's go ahead and play a little bit of this back, and you'll take a look, and you'll see that one camera is a bit cool, the other is a bit warm, and then we have one camera that we're calling our hero color correction. This is the one that we want to match the other cameras to. Take a look.
All you can do is be a part of that energy and just take a little bit of that energy to...
Okay. So you can see this shot, this is the dragon footage, the weapon footage. It's a bit warm. This shot here, this is the A7 footage. It's a bit cool. And then this one here, this is what we're calling our hero. This is how we want everything, all the other cameras to look like, okay? So we're now going to go into our comparison view again, but this time we're going to enter in shot comparison mode. And when we do that, now you'll see that you have your reference frame on the left and our current time indicator frame on the right. We've also got a scrubber in here, so I can scrub to the exact frame that I want to be to match my content against. At this point now, we're going to go into our color wheels and match section, which has been renamed because now we offer color matching in here. Let me go ahead and just shrink up some of these other, other modules. So powered by Adobe Sensei's machine learning technology, we're offering color matching with the ability to focus on skin tones via face detection. So simply all I have to do is click on Apply Match. Adobe Sensei will do its thing in the background to match those skin tones. Give it a moment here. And there we go. Now, the shirt color is a little bit off. It's not exact. But here's the wonderful thing. With a lot of other grading applications, NLEs, when you do a match, effectively it's building a LUT for you, which means it's a black box. It's not editable. This is fully editable and non-destructive. So leveraging the color wheels, I can simply take our midtones here, and I can just start to warm these up a bit, like this, kind of focusing again on those shirt tones. All right, something like that. Maybe I'll lift the contrast a bit as well. Okay. Nice. Oh, we're almost there. And then maybe I'm going to make a slight adjustment to the highlights. Now, you may have noticed down below here that we have 3 different views. We have a side-by-side view, a vertical split, and a horizontal split. Now, on this particular shot, the vertical split, not so useful, although the fingers do look beautifully matched. But if we go to our horizontal view now, where you can adjust, again, looking at the skin tones, they really look beautiful. And when I look at the shirt, oh my goodness. Look at that, I am so close. I'm there. I am not a colorist either. So this gives me amazing amounts of anxiety previously. Like, I will never be able to match this. Now it's as simple as clicking on Apply Match, and it does its thing, just like that. Two other quick examples here. What if you want to match against your favorite film or your favorite TV show? People now, of course, are like, I want it to look like Stranger Things, or I want it to look like Blade Runner 2049, or I want it to look like my particular favorite, Dirty Harry 1971. You can now reference any kind of still frame. Here's our content on the right, all right? Face detection, apply match. In this case, one click, it just did it. Perfect, matched, done. Another example. What if you're using stock content? Quick show of hands. How many of you use either Adobe Stock or another stock provider for stock video content? Perfect. Okay, lots of hands. Yes. One of the more challenging things is stock content is typically graded, right? Lots of color, lots of contrast, lots of sharpness. And for someone like me who's not a grading artist, colorist, I have a lot of anxiety over that. So this was the shot that we grabbed. Our director shot the one on the left in Santa Cruz. We found one on the right, which is pretty close in terms of the sky and those tones, but what really throws it off is the ocean, right? It's obviously not the same. It's not. And as a non-colorist, I would stress over how am I going to make that water look right? How am I going to do this? Let's go ahead and go into color wheels and match. I'm going to disable face detection this time around, and let's simply apply a match. Here we go. And all I'm going to do now is just take those midtones, and again, I see a little magenta in there. I'm just going to pull these ever so slightly. And here's where, once again, I showed this before, that horizontal view is so wonderful. Here's our original shot. And let's go right up to the horizon line there. And it looks like it's the same, right? Here's our stock content. Here's our original. And it just works together. And I could even up the contrast a little bit more and make these even more perfect. But truly, in a second here, I was able to get it so amazingly close. Powered by Adobe Sensei's Color Match. Okay? Really cool stuff. All right, quickly, essential graphics. We were just talking about making motion graphics templates in After Effects to be used by the editor. And I showed you how we created all those parameters, right? Export motion graphics template. So now we're looking at one of those templates inside of Premiere. Oh, let me get out of our comparison view, although I'll come back to that in a second. So here it is, all right? And I can scrub through 3 of these. Now again, it's all the same template. I've just modified position, rotation, the angle of that seam, the width of those seam bars, and I want to add one more of these. Well, in the Essential Graphics panel, you now have lots of different ways to sort and find your motion graphics templates. You also have the ability to star your favorites. So I'm going to take that one, which is called Master Credit, select it here, and drag it down into the timeline like this. All right, there's the default state. Let's go ahead and edit this. And I'm going to type in directed by, and it's Brian Rawless. I'm going to change position. I'm going to change scale. And I'm going to change the edge wipe rotation to follow the break of the waves right there. Like this. And I can even change the fall off width if I want to. All right, like this. Wind it back. Beautiful, right? And you just saw how we created that in After Effects. Awesome. Well, here's another really cool thing that we've borrowed from After Effects for new motion graphics templates. The director sees it and he loves it, but he says, marketing says, you know, we love all the stuff you did, the animation, all the changes you made, but they want a different font. So they've made a new motion graphics template with all the same stuff, but the font has changed. Well, if you had done this work a week ago, you would have to import the new motion graphics template and redo all the things I just did on all 4 of those. Now, in the latest version, leveraging a tip from After Effects, you can take the new template and holding down Alt or Option, just like in After Effects, to replace the elements in a layer in your comp, I can drag it over top of the existing motion graphics template. And when I do that, it says, would you like to replace all other instances of this graphic in all sequences? I'm going to click yes. And when I do that, the only thing that changes is the font, which you can now see is in a script cursive, but all the other parameters that I modified are intact on all instances of that template in my sequence. This is unbelievably cool. And taking that a step further, so the director loves it, but marketing says, you know, I want to see, could we just see like a before and after? Maybe we want to change the position of that edge seam. Okay. Well, here again is where we can now go into comparison view, and we're going to go into that frame comparison mode, and I can take my template. Remember, here's the before state on the left, and the after state, I can actually edit or modify this so they can see those changes in real time, only to have them say, you know what, let's take it back to the way you had it. Okay, that's just fine. Go back out of comparison view and leave it as is. All right? So comparison view can be used for motion graphics templates comparisons. It can be used for any kind of effects or processing. It can be used for color grading and matching. Unbelievably powerful stuff via motion graphics templates. Also now you have lots of different ways to browse Adobe stock templates directly in Premiere Pro. We even have hover scrub previews now. Previously you had to go to the web to see what they looked like in real time. Now you can do it right here. You'll also see we have an info button. So this will kind of tell you everything about that motion graphics template, the price, this happens to be a premium one, the duration, the file size, and the font. This is one of the greatest elements of motion graphics templates, is that if you use our Typekit fonts, as a CC member you have access to thousands and thousands of Typekit fonts. If you don't have alternate Got No 3D installed, or if you're sharing it with someone, they bring in your template and it says, oh, would you like me to download alternate Got No 3D? It synchronizes in the background via Creative Cloud, and it displays your motion graphics template properly. Always, on any CC system. This is wonderful. So it'll always display properly on any system because it's using Typekit. Now you can still use third-party fonts. You can still use third-party effects and After Effects. All that means is if you were to share that template, if you share it with your editor, they have to have that font on their system if it's non-Typekit. Makes sense, right? We can't give the font to... Similarly with an effect, if you're using something from Red Giant, we can't give them Red Giant. They have to have that. It's in the template, so if they get it, it'll display properly. That's the key. And the very last thing I'm going to show you before Carl comes up to show you After Effects, a long-time request that people have had in Audition. It's now a true audio finishing solution working in conjunction with Premiere and After Effects, and that is now the ability to open Premiere Pro projects directly in Audition to do your audio finishing. You no longer have to send the sequence from Premiere. You can open it directly here. So I'm going to take the Premiere Pro project right here from our media browser, and I'm simply going to drag it into the Audition editor. I've got to relink one quick file here. I'll quickly choose the sequence that I want to bring in. You can also bring in multiple sequences. Click OK. Let's link our one piece of media here. Wind this down. We're looking for this WAV file. There it is. Click Open. OK. Boom. There we are. We also have a whole new series of video preferences, including timecode. So you can display your timecode on screen. We can change the size. We can change the background opacity, the position. If you're doing ADR, you can reference session or media timecode. We have lots of different options here. We also have something new called clip spotting. So if you're doing any kind of sound design and trying to perfectly line up, an explosion or a crash or some kind of Foley with something in your scene, when you click on a clip with clip spotting enabled, you see here how it has this blue line following the clip, and we can advance frame by frame. Obviously, we would zoom in more so we can be more frame accurate here. As you move this, wherever you grab it, on that exact frame, you can drop in your sound effect, spot it properly, perfect sound design every time. So many other additional features, my friends. If you go around to the other side of the booth, they can show you Audition, After Effects, Premiere, Character Animator, Adobe Meeting Coder, and more. Thank you so much for sticking around. So many more demos to come up today. Up now, we've got Carl Soule, who's going to show you even more of the new features in After Effects. Have a great NAB Day 3. We'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.